Welcome, everyone. I am officially recording. So we will be starting right away with our first person who's going to be presenting, and that will be Danielle.
Uh-oh.
Which I'm sure will be wonderful.
You were breaking up a little bit, Joe, but pretty sure that's probably my cue. My name is Danielle. I'm going to be the first person to host today. Please just bear with me while I try to keep up with admitting people into the session, as well as with the chat. I'm pretty sure that the other Google trainers, as well as I know Ms. Coons and Ms. Sepa-LaFemina, said that they would help me out with that as well. If something is going on in the chat that they feel that I should address, they said they'll just kind of shout me out. So that will be super helpful throughout this. I'm going to share my screen. And get started. Okay, so thank you very much for coming again today. It's an absolutely gorgeous day outside. I appreciate you being here and keeping it real with me with Google Keep. What I I'm going to go over today is kind of go through my slides first, and then after going through my slides, I am going to walk you through some of the ways that you can use Google Keep as well. So first and foremost, my name is Danielle. I work in 3rd grade at Oak Tree Road, School 29. I started in elementary technology around 9 years ago. And now I've gotten to marry my love of technology with my love of my little learners in 3rd grade. Just going through my objectives today, we're going to really unlock Google Keep's potential. We're going to learn how Google Keep integrates with other Google for EDU apps. And we're going to learn a little bit about how to create Bitmoji template stickers. And you're going to gain access to some digital rubrics for formative assessment. Before I move on, I just want to make it clear that you will be gaining access to my slides. It will be posted on the elementary and other district learning, distance learning websites, as well as I'll share it with you after my presentation in the chat today too. So if any of you are kind of sitting there and like talking or thinking, what is she thinking about? What is she talking about? Keeping it real with Google Keep. What is this Keep app? It is one of my favorite apps that I use for productivity in my professional as well as my personal life. It really digitizes your Post-it notes and allows you to use it in a be productive in both of those areas. This slide is going to be the slide for those of you that may not have ever used it before. So on this slide, you're going to see here the Google Keep link. This link will bring you to your Google Keep app or the Google Keep site. You'll just need to sign in with any Google account that you have, preferably your Woodbridge Township account. This is the Learning Center link. If you click this, it will bring you to your Google support. And then this YouTube video right here is a screencast that I created. It's just about under 7 minutes long, and it gives you a crash course of all of the ins and outs of Google Keep. So it's a great place to get started, and you will have access to that when this presentation is over. Today, we're going to take it to the next level and take Google Keep to the next level, and you're going to understand how you can potentially use it as a form of formative assessment with your students in the classroom. On this slide, I give you 4 options or 4 steps of how you can use your Google Keep notepad in other Google for EDU for our session as well. The part that's most important on this slide is the rubric templates link that you see me hovering my cursor over right here. This link is going to bring you to a Google Doc, which has templates of rubrics that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It will automatically make a copy for you in your Google Drive. I want to go through that quickly with you so that you see what I mean. One thing I'd like to say is that the rubrics that are on here are very generalized templates that can be used for on-demand writing tasks in the classroom with your students across all grade levels. It's for informal writing, and it really isn't specific to any of the writing curriculums that are used across our grade levels, like Writing City and the elementary side of things. You can use these rubrics just as a starting point for when you are potentially creating your Google Keep notes as formative assessment. So as I scroll through, once again, you will have access to this once you have access to my slides. I created templates for check plus, check, check minus for you. Also, open-ended question templates. I went through this with Laura Calabrese as well, and she was on board with understanding and using this as a generalized template. Simple paragraph grading rubric, narrative writing grading rubric, expository, persuasive, and multimedia presentation for those of us that may be using Google Slides, so on and so forth. So I'm going to kind of walk you through how this template could be used once I walk you through my presentation. The next slide is very important. One thing to note is that when you use this Google Keep notepad, the notepad is not accessible in Google Classroom. So if you are in Google Classroom and you are going through your students' work, what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to use these two screenshots to help you out. When you are on the screen with all of your students' work, you can click on the icon that is the folder for your students, or if you are on the screen with your student's document open, you can click on the little square with the arrow, which will bring you into your Google Doc, your student's Google Slide, or your student's Google Sheets. That will allow you to use the notepad, so it's very important. When you receive my slides, slide 7 and slide 8 are the slides that are going to allow you to go back over everything that I am going over right now. I know if you're outside, it's an absolutely gorgeous day. If you're distracted by the weather or the dogs at home right now, everything that I'm going over is in a screencast on 7 and 8, so you'll have access to that as well. I also at the end ask that you please provide honest feedback so I can keep growing as a trainer. All right, so let's get started. This is what my Google Keep looks like. I've been using it and I absolutely am obsessed with it. Biggest thing you want to know about this screen is, or notice, is the labels that I've created on the left-hand side. This is going to be extremely important for later on when we are creating our Google Keep notes. I'll have you see when I click Bitmojis, I have Bitmojis in Keep Notes. I also have check plus, check, check minus, Google Keep Notes, open-ended question rubric Keep Notes from the templates in that page that I sent you or showed you, and my writing rubrics notes as well. So this is where we are going to get started today. The first thing I'm going to do is let's pretend my students just finished an expository writing piece, and I'm going to go through and give them some feedback on that. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is create the writing rubric for them in a Google Keep note. So the way I'm going to do that, and again, you have the crash course available to you in the screencast on one of my first slides, is you're going to come back, and this is only has to be done once. You can come to this template, or you can use, whatever template you might use with your students. And I'm going to copy by using Command C, and I'm going to come back to my Google Keep, and I'm going to paste my expository rubric by using Command V into this Google Keep note. I can title it Expository Rubric, and I want to make sure that it's labeled. My label shows up here, and it is created in my writing rubrics label, which is why it automatically did it for me. Please notice you can collaborate this note, so maybe all of your grade level colleagues do not have to create and reinvent the wheel. Maybe one of you choose to make these, and then you share them with your colleagues' Google accounts. You can also color code, which is one of my absolute favorite things. And you're going to click the 3 dots on the top with a snowman for other options, especially if you wanted to change the label. When you're done creating this rubric, you're going to come and click, and you can pin the rubric so that it stays at the top of your Google Keep notes, and then you can close it. And as you can see, the rubric I just created is here. This is a one-stop shop. You do it once and you don't have to do it again, and it creates a template for you. So now let's pretend I'm home in my pajamas grading my papers, and I'm in my Google Classroom. Going to click my classwork tab, and then I'm going to find my writing assignment that I just did with my students, and I'm going to click into my writing assignment. Don't be alarmed, the assignment's not done yet, so that's why everyone hasn't turned it in just yet. This is the folder icon I was talking to you about that you would want to click in so that you can get into Google Docs, Google Slides, or open up your students' work in Google Sheets. So what I'm going to do is I'll open up my student's work, which was her expository writing piece, in Google Docs. And now you'll notice, you may have noticed this bar before and been like, I don't really know what it's for or not. This is called your side panel on the right. So on the right, you'll see your Google Keep icon. When you click that icon, all of the notes that you will create or rubrics that you will create in Google Keep come up here. The most important reason why you want to label them is because now you can search for the specific rubric that you're looking for. So I click my magnifying glass and I might search expository. I can search the specific title that I gave my note, or I can search the label. This is the expository rubric that I just created, and this is where the magic happens now. All I need to do is click on the rubric and drag it into my student's work, and all of the text from that note comes into my student's document. You're going to want to set up expectations with your students from the beginning and explain maybe how you will share with them, how you're going to show them what score they got for each of these specific things. So I might go through and highlight the specific numbers of the scores that the students received. And then I can go through, I would give them their final score, and even write comments down for what I expect of them. This is an amazing option for students because now your student can come in, see all of your feedback right here in the document with everything that you have to say. So there's another way that you can also do this to take it to the next level. And you can also create screenshots of these notes so that it doesn't come in as text, and that it comes in as a nice visual. So I'm going to show that for you next for my students, one of my students' work for open-ended questions. So I'm going to come back into my Google Keep, and I'm going to find my label that says open-ended question rubrics. As you can see, my notes here look different. There's notes that have text that I can still go in, manipulate, and add things to, or there are notes here where it is an actual image in my Google Keep note. So the way that you can create an image, and you're going to want to use this for scoring that you potentially are going to say you got a score of 95 or 100 because of all these reasons, where you don't have to give them a score based on specific criteria. It's as simple as taking a screenshot. So on a MacBook, I would do Command, Shift, and 4. My crossbows come up, and I take a screenshot of this criteria. Screenshots on a MacBook go into my desk, go onto my desktop. So now that I've taken that picture, I'm going to take a new note, and one of the options on this note is you can add an image. So I'm going to click Add Image. I'm going to find my desktop and find my screenshot. I'm going to open my screenshot up, and now that picture that I just took is right here in my Google Keep note. I can label it grade A for open-ended question, and I might even want to say that this is the image so that I know what this is. I once again have all my options available to me on the bottom, and now I can close it. And you want to also make sure, see that I didn't pin it. So it goes all the way to the bottom. So you want to always make sure to pin your notes so that it comes right to the top and it's easily accessible for you. So once again, I'm grading my students' work. I have an open-ended question I want to grade. I go into my Google Classroom. I find the assignment, I click my folder, I open up my student's work, and here's an open-ended question from a student from one of the stories that we read in 3rd grade. I'm ready to give her my score. I come to my side panel, I click my Google Keep icon, and I search for the label or the name of what I'm looking for. So I'm going to search for OEQ for open-ended questions. I'm going to scroll to the top, and this is still the text one. So I can bring that in, or I would want to make sure I bring in my image. So my image came to the bottom this time. I'm going to click my image and magic happens. And now my actual score with all the reasons why and all the criteria that my student met is there. And it's in a nice visual for my students, that my students, my parents, and their families can see how my student did and why, all within the same document. The last thing to show that I'm going to show is one of my favorites. It's going to be how you can create Bitmoji template stickers. I know the Bitmoji extension on Google Chrome does allow you to click and drag it into any of these documents. The way I see it is it will be a time saver and help you to not always have to search for the Bitmojis that you use consistently. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to come back into my Google Keep. And you're going to make sure you have your Bitmoji extension downloaded. And once you download it in the Chrome store, which you can get through the apps right here, the first icon is your Chrome store. Once you download it, you're going to sign in with your Snapchat information, and then you're going to look for or search for the Bitmojis that you want. The one thing that's really cool about the extension is you can create a sticker for each of your students, because if I wrote "Great job, Danielle" for my name, the extension actually creates Bitmojis for customizable for you. So this is something that I've used with my students, and I've clicked and sent it, and I think it's super cool that it's customized to them. But for today, I'm just going to go with one of the ones that is here, and it says "Good job." So when you're ready, you're going to right click or 2-finger tap on it. You're going to save the image, and I'm going to save it into my Bitmoji folder. And once it's saved, I'm going to come back, and just like we did before, building off of that, you're going to add the image. My image is in my Bitmoji folder. I'm going to find my "Good job" image and open it up in this note. Right now, I'm in my open-ended question rubrics label, so I want to make sure to change that label using these 3 dots. And I'm going to check off that I want it to be organized in my Bitmojis label. So now when I come back, my sticker is here along with all of my other Bitmoji stickers that I use with my students. Once again, I come to my Google Classroom when I'm ready. I go to the assignment that I want, I click my folder, and for this assignment, it's just a simple spelling choice board that my 3rd graders do. So it's nothing that has any criteria or is necessary to use a rubric. So I do the same thing. I come over to my side panel. I click my Google Keep. I search my label Bitmojis. And here's my "Good job" sticker that I can now click and put on my Google Docs so that my students see that I've looked at their work and they get a nice customizable sticker for it as well. So I really feel that this is such a great tool. It really helps streamline the process of giving feedback to the students on many different forms. It's a nice visual for them, and it's super efficient. Please know that I will be sending the slides, and I just ask that you please also check out the survey at the end in order to give me as much feedback as possible to help me continue to improve. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Very good.
Thank you. And I'm pretty sure Amanda Coons will be up next, so I will make her host.
Yes, and as Danielle does so, the link for the surveys has already been put into the chat, so please make sure you take the time to give Danielle or any other person that you whose presentation you watched today. They really need your feedback for when they apply to be trainers through the training program. So please, 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 that's our key thing. We really need you to fill out that survey.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. Perfect. So thank you so much again for coming. It's such a beautiful day, so we appreciate you doing everything you can to be here. I'm going to be talking about Google Forms in early education. Oops. Okay, so my name's Amanda Coons. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Oak Tree Road School 29. I've been teaching Woodbridge Township School District for 4 years, and I'm a product of Woodbridge. I went to school number 9, Avenel Middle, and Woodbridge High School. And then I went and I got my liberal arts and elementary education and special education certificates at Centenary University. And I just enjoy creating digital resources, different crafts and decorations for my classroom. So being with remote learning, I'm looking at a whole new avenue of just creating things within Google Classroom as well. I love connecting on social media. I love using it as a learning platform. So if you ever want to connect on Twitter, Instagram, or check out my Google site, they're all clickable right here. And I'll be sending my PowerPoint to you afterwards. And then I think that my Bitmoji kind of describes me a little bit. I like to read for professional development, and I think coffee and kindergarten kind of go hand in hand. So like I said, I'll be sending the slides to you. So any of these are clickable if you find that you just want to pick and choose about different things that you want to learn about. But today we'll be learning about Google Forms and what they are, the title and description, the different question types, how to send and collect responses, and then finally, how to use Google Forms in early education. So Google Forms, what they are. A great resource to survey and collect data from your students. So how you're going to want to get started is go on over to your Google homepage. Now you want to make sure that you are signed into your WTSD account. So you'll see right here that I'm signed in right here. Maybe your picture will show up, maybe initials will show on up. And then you can also check by seeing and clicking to see. If you haven't logged into your WTSD account, what you can do is type in your first name, a period, last name at WTSDNJ.com. And then it'll be the same password as your email. So how you get to Forms is by clicking the waffle, the little squares up here, and it will be with all of your other Google tools in this little drop-down menu. So the Forms is this purple icon. So if you click it, you'll be brought straight to the Google Forms homepage. And then another way that you can access it is by going over to Google again, clicking the waffle, and then going through your drive. So it's right over here under this new button. And then if you hit more, you have access to all of these different Google tools. Now it's going to bring you to a brand new form, which I'm not really ready to do just yet. So I'm going to go on over to the left-hand corner and click the logo. Just like all of our other Google tools, it'll bring us straight back to our home page. So what we have here is a couple of different sections. So it'll be broken up into the sections of your forms that you've already done, and then brand new forms. So you have a blank template, a blank quiz, an exit ticket, an assessment, and a worksheet all ready to go for you. So if you want to start a new form, you're going to hit that blank button, and a brand new form will be brought up. Now, the first thing I always like to do is to enter in my title. So later on with my class, I'm going to be doing a read aloud, and we're going to be reading Llama, Llama, Red Pajama. So I want to label it so that way I know exactly that's about my read aloud and which read aloud it is. So once you click, that automatically goes in for your title, and that way I know exactly what's going to be about. Now, the next thing you can do is put a description. So I like to kind of keep it short and simple with the kindergartners. So I say, please fill out the form below. So that way it acts as directions as well. Perfect. So since I have my title, I'm ready to go. I want to talk a little bit about these 3 little buttons at the top. So we have a paint palette, a little eyeball, and then settings. What that paint palette will do is allow you to customize it. And being with K1 and 2, I like to make things super visual for my students. So I'm going to go down to this header option. Before our Zoom today, I went onto Google and I searched for a Llama Llama cover. But once you hit this image, you'll see that Google has a bunch of different themes that you could download. You could also upload from your computer, or you could go into your Google Photos and link it straight there, which I did. It won't allow the whole picture, but I'm going to grab Llama Llama's face, llama, and then red to kind of be able to show my students exactly what book it's about. So then it will insert right at the top of my read aloud title, and now my students will be able to visually see what book I'm reading once it loads. And then we have a couple different theme colors here. The nice thing too that Google does is it pulls the colors from the cover, and it will allow you to kind of adjust them based off of the cover. But you could also hit this plus if you wanted to change it and pick any color that you want. So I picked red, and my background color will be white. Another cool thing is you could change the fonts. I'm a huge font fan, so I like the option to be able to change it. So we have decorative, we have formal, we have playful, but I think I'm going to stick with basic for today. So this is my starting point right here for my form. The next thing would be to preview. So once you hit that eyeball, you're going to be able to see it exactly how your students see it. So every few questions, I like to make sure I hit the preview, and definitely before I send it to my students, I hit that preview button to see. Okay, and then my next setting would be my settings setting, which we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, so that way we can see who can and cannot see our forms. Awesome. So again, you are going to be having this slide sent to you. This just gives a little description about the title and the description, how I like to kind of look at it exactly how I do with books. The title of the book really tells you what the book is going to be about, and then same thing with your form. And then you could always add a brief description or directions for your students. And then pictures are included. And then now the different question types that are possible on Google Form. So if you want to ask a question, there'll always be one here ready to go. So I think I'm going to stick with a multiple choice question and ask, did you like the story we read today? And that way they can have a couple options, yes or no. Google does it great, and they give us some suggestions right here. So we just have to click twice and our question is all done. Now, if you wanted to make this required, so that way the students have to answer this question, then you toggle it on over and it's now required. So that way they can't submit the form without answering this question. The next question type will be checkboxes. This allows the students to answer all of the question or answer all of the answers that applied to the question. So maybe I would say, where was the setting? Now in Llama Llama, there's multiple ones. So I would drop down a box and hit check boxes, and maybe I would say school, home, the park, or maybe a store. And that way they would be able to kind of check that maybe it's at school and home. So that way there's more than just one option to it. Then our next couple of questions would be a short answer. So this would be a 1-word or 2-word answer. So maybe I would say, who was your favorite character? And that way they would be able to type it on in. Now my students are pretty comfortable with typing, so I give them this question a lot, and they're able to achieve it with that. But if I wasn't, then maybe I would change it to a multiple choice and add the different options, maybe llama llama, mama, or someone else. And then the next one would be a paragraph. I don't use the paragraph option with kindergarten, but I believe that there would be something in 2nd grade that maybe you would be able to use, where you ask them the question and they can expand on it. Like, what was your favorite part of the story? Or do you think that there was something different that the author could do? So they could expand a little bit more on it. And then the top down would be very similar to multiple choice. Maybe I would say, what was llama holding? Whoops. And I would be able to do a drop-down answer, and I would say maybe his toy, a book, or maybe an iPad. So that way my students would be able to select the option from the ones. And again, if you want them to have to answer the question, then toggle over the required button, and that way they would have to answer it before they submit the form. And since I'm good to go, I want to view it as my students would, and this is what the final form would look like. And then I can exit out, and it will always give you an additional window, so you don't have to worry about closing out on all of your work. And then all of your savings, your changes are also saved in Drive constantly.
Amanda, I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you just take a moment to look in the waiting room and make sure nobody's in there? I'm sorry about that. I forgot to remind you before.
I don't believe anyone is. It would pop up like with the orange notification, right?
Yep, no problem. Just wanted to double check. Thank you.
And then if you wanted to send it on, you would hit this purple button. Now there's 3 different ways that you could send it. You could send it through email. Now we don't have Gmail with our WTSD account, so I wouldn't recommend sending it via email, but say that you were doing something maybe off of school, what you would do is type in their name here and then send it on along. And then how I do it is I do it with a link. That's our second option. I always hit shorten URL to make it a little bit more visually pleasing. And then you can hit copy, and now it's saved to your clipboard. So what I would do with this is maybe I would go on over to my Class Dojo story, and we would hit, whoops, my Class Dojo story, and I would say, check out this form. And I can attach it and post it, so that way my parents get it right away. The next option would be to embed it. So you just have to click and then copy, and now it's saved to your clipboard as well. Maybe you want to put it on your Google site or use a different blog server to post it. You would embed it into your website. And then last but not least for the forms basics would be the settings. Now, with working with kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, they may not have their WTSD Google logins just yet. So what you would want to do is hit that settings gear and then uncheck restrict users to WTSD. So then anyone in the whole world can use that form now. What I like to do is I like to limit to 1 response, so that way my data is not skewed. And then if I were doing it with WTSD logins, I would click that collect email addresses, so that way you know who is and isn't filling out the form. So if you don't have logins for your students just yet, what I would recommend is adding a question. Whoops, and then we'll go, whoops, I lost my question. Here we are. And I would just type in first name and then make it a short answer and required, so that way you know whose work you're getting from the form, and you can just drag and drop it up top there. And then last but not least, how do you use Google Forms in early education? So what I like to do is just kind of what I did with the read alouds. I Zoom with my students every Tuesday and Thursday for reading, and we'll read a whole story together, talk about it, discuss it a little bit, and then I'll send a form on my Class Dojo story, and they'll fill out what they like. So for example, we read Some Days last week. I put the title and the header of the cover on top, and then they were able to fill out their name. Did they like the story? Did you make a connection with the story? This is a skill that we're covering in our language arts program, so I can use the data to kind of see if they were or were not connecting with the story, and if I need to go back and cover that topic again, and then if they have a favorite part. And then the next thing I like to do is on Mondays, I post like an SEL check-in. So every Monday I will post a review. Whoops. And I'm so sorry. And then they will be able to tell me. So I didn't make this, I wish I did, it's adorable, but they can fill out their first name. They can use different visuals to let me know how they are feeling for the week. And then there's this little part down here, which I love. It says, can you tell me anything? This can be about life or school. So then they're able to say what they did over the weekend. The answers I get during this is super cute. Anywhere from I see ducks outside to I miss my classroom, I miss my friends. And it's really heartwarming as their teacher to be able to see these messages. And then down here, can you find all of your work? Do you need any help? So that way, if they hit no, I know to kind of contact mom or dad or them and see what I can help. So that way they're not confused and ending up being frustrated during the week. So here are just some images. And then the question of the day, I don't use this as often as I would when I'm not doing remote learning, but I do it probably around Wednesday and Friday to kind of boost some morale. So I'll ask them a question like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? So on Wednesday, we did the daily question of what would you like to eat? So I did pizza, ice cream, and cookie. And since I'm working with the younger ones, I like to include little clip arts so that way they have a visual representation. So how you would add a picture is just go on over to this sidebar where you would add a question, import questions, add a title, and then add image. And you can use them from your own computer, from your camera, by a URL, and then different Google sites or searches if you'd like. And then I like to vote throughout the year with my students. We do a lot of voting in our math curriculum. So I think that bringing the forms into the classroom will be super beneficial when we're voting leading up to election week or different things in our math lessons. And then last but not least, I think just empowering the little leaders. I love working in kindergarten and they can run miles around me with the iPad. So I think just being able to incorporate a play-based and a technology kind of based classroom is definitely something I like doing. So in September and October, we go over all of our iPad rules and expectations. So we came up with 3 rules this year: to hold with both hands, to keep them safe, and then to only use the applications downloaded. And then we read Goodnight iPad, which is similar to Goodnight Moon. And then they were off and they did it with their center rotations with language arts and math. So I'm super excited to incorporate Google Forms into our classroom next year. But thank you so much for coming. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now or to reach out via email, Twitter, Instagram, whichever. And if you can, please complete the form so that way I can become a better trainer. Thank you.
That was an excellent job. So please make sure that you fill out the surveys. We keep throwing the link in there after each person goes. So fill out the survey for Amanda if you don't mind. I probably could, if we had the time, I probably could recite Goodnight Moon verbatim for the amount of times that I read it to my kids when we went to bed. That was a classic. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that. Okay, and next on our schedule is Monica, correct? I believe it's Monica. So if we could switch hosts to Monica, that would be great.
Perfect.
No problem.
Thank you.
All righty, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me just make sure we have nobody in the waiting room. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And let's get ready. Here we go. Okay, everybody. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Monica Sepa-LaFemina. I'll be talking to you about the Google Chrome extension Mote, which allows you to have voice comments on Google Apps. Excuse me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about me really quick. I am a teacher in Woodbridge Township School District for 10 years. I've been teaching at Oak Tree Road School 29, and I'm a huge technology enthusiast. I'm the computer liaison in our building, and I just love technology, so I like to always further my students' learning with technology, and I'm very excited to be on this journey to possibly become a Google certified trainer. So thank you for coming to this session today and supporting myself and our colleagues in this journey. So what is a Mote? What we're going to be doing is I'm going to go through the Google slide deck with you, which is going to be given to you at the end of this presentation, but it's also already posted on the distance learning sites as well. So what Mote is a browser extension to create 1-minute voice comments, which I have to say has been a huge saving grace for me while we are doing remote or distance learning. Mote was originally designed for people to collaborate quickly and effectively while working together on a document or a shared project. But I really feel that educators have taken this Chrome extension and ran with it for their students and for easier feedback for themselves. Where can you leave Mote comments? So you can leave Mote comments on the Google Classroom, in Google Slides, in Google Sheets, and in Google Docs. When we are getting started, you need to make sure that you are signed into your Google account. And you can navigate to the Chrome Web Store, which I will show you a little bit later how to do that. Search for Mote and add to Chrome so that your extension appears over in the top right-hand corner of your banner. On page 6 of the slide deck, I have a bunch of video tutorials here for you. One of them is by the lovely Jamie Gross. So thank you so much for creating that brief overview video. These video tutorials will give you introductions to Mote, how to use Mote with your classroom students, and how to use Mote in each Google app. On the resources page, I just clipped a couple of articles from the Help Center of Mote on how to use emojis with Mote, how to use Mote with Google Classroom, how to edit your Mote transcripts, and the FAQ, which is your frequently asked questions. And at the end of this training, if you don't mind just filling out the Mote training survey, with your honest feedback so that I can better improve myself as a trainer. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So when you're getting started, you need to always make sure that you're signed into your Google account. You'll know that you're signed into your Google account by seeing either your initials or a picture on the right-hand side. When you click the waffle, you'll see that your account is active. When you are going to search for the Chrome Web Store, the easiest way to get to the Chrome Web Store is when you're opening a new tab. Over to the left, there's the apps icon. When you click that icon, you can then click Web Store and it brings you directly to the Web Store where you can search for various extensions. So we're going to search for Mote. And when you search for Mote, it should pop up at the top, and this is what your extension would look like. It's a purple background with an M that says Mote. Yours would look a little bit different if you have not downloaded this extension yet. Yours would say Add to Chrome, so you would click that blue button to add it to Chrome, and then you'll have the Mote icon appear in the top corner of your Google account. So just a couple of things. Once you have downloaded your extension, you're going to take a look at the extension and click on it. And here are a bunch of menu options. First, it tells you what Google account you are signed in with, which is very important. And you need to make sure that you're toggling on the extension and toggling on voice transcription. What is a really cool feature for Mote is that you can actually choose different languages to transcribe your messages. I do know that they are continuing to add new languages as this extension is relatively new. So you can always be on the lookout for the different languages that there are. But you can choose whichever transcription language you are looking for, which is English, US. And then what I also love is that the Help and Questions Center is right from the Mote extension menu. So when you click on the Mote extension Help and Questions, brings you directly to the Help Center, which is the FAQ section. It also gives you promoted articles. There's a community section where you can talk to other educators or G Suite users that are using the Mote extension and any announcements that are happening right now. So these are the most recent announcements or changes that are happening to Mote. Okay, so how does it work? Let's talk about it. So when you are on the Google Slides, I actually put a Mote on the very first slide, and this is what it sounds like. I know that it might be a little faint because we're on such a large Zoom call, but it would not be this soft when you are using it with your students at your house or at school on whatever device you're using. So this is just an example of what it would look like. It would pop up as a comment on the right side of your slide, and then you press this play button and you'll be able to hear your Mote.
Hello and welcome to the Mote Voice Comments on Google Apps slide deck presentation. Use this presentation to help you navigate your way through the Mote extension, and enjoy.
So the way that I got the Mote onto the slide was I have my slide highlighted over on the left-hand corner. And then you just want to look for the comment button with the plus sign that says Add Comment. So you would go ahead and click the plus sign to add a comment. And once you have that Mote extension ready, you'll see that the Mote extension is active in the comment box because the icon is there. When you click on the Mote extension, it will automatically start recording, and you have 60 seconds or 1 minute max to make your voice recording. So I'll just do a quick test. Hi, welcome to the Mote Comments Google slide deck. If you have any questions, please email me. You'll press done. You'll see that the Mote is thinking. When it's thinking, this is another part that I really want to talk to you about is that if students don't have the extension, it's okay. They can still actually hear or read your Mote comment. So this is what it would look like if the students don't have their extension, and this link would become active and it would open up in a separate page that looks like this. It'll say that your teacher left you a voice note in whatever doc or sheet or Google app that you are in. It'll give the transcription below. It'll have the play button where students will be able to listen to it. So the students do not need to have the Mote extension in order to listen to your voice comments, which I think is really wonderful. When you click comment, it'll appear on the side, and this is what it'll look like when you have your actual Mote extension downloaded. It'll give you that. Now I can already see that there is a misspelling in the Mote comment where you can actually edit your transcriptions. So you click the edit box, you can go ahead and change anything in the transcription, and you can go ahead and press update, and you'll see the full Mote on the comment. On Google Slides, you can either make comments on the full slide or you can make comments on individual words. So you can go ahead and highlight the word. Same way, you will find the comment button, press it, and then your comments will come up and you'll be able to use the Mote extension to go ahead and give that feedback or any verbal audio message that you would like to leave. Another way that you can use Mote is in the Google Classroom. So this is my 3rd grade Google Classroom right now. And in the morning, what I'd like to do is on my daily learning activities, you can see I have some comments left here. I'd like to leave morning messages or audio messages with either quick feedback or maybe an update about our status in first in math. I'll go ahead and click on the daily learning activities and view material. When you're in your material, down at the bottom, it leaves for an area for you to go ahead and click or create a Mote to leave a class comment. So I already have my class comment here, but this is another example. If you don't have the Mote extension ready, it comes up on a file link that you can open up in the browser. It'll open up again and you'll have that there for you so that students are still able to access it without having the actual extension. If you notice, because this has happened in the past, that you have the Chrome extension, but you're not seeing the icon at the bottom to leave your comment, Mote says just to refresh your page and your extension icon should show up to be able to do that. And so after I've refreshed, you can now see that the new Mote is here. On Google Classroom, you need to make sure that you're ready for your voice comment and what exactly you're going to say, because it automatically starts recording right away as you click the icon. So when you click this icon and you go ahead, it's going to automatically start recording. Hi friends, don't forget to check the distance learning assignment tracker today to make sure that you're keeping track of your missing assignments. You press done. The Mote is thinking, then it will transcribe and you can press class comment to go ahead and see that your Mote is there in the Google Classroom. That's just one way that I use it in Google Classroom. Another way is for you to leave convenient and easy feedback on a student's assignment. So during distance learning, there's a lot of assignments that we're getting digitally through the Google Classroom. And what I think is an easier way or a great time saver for us is to just do audio comments on our work for our students. So this is a vocabulary sentences piece that one of my students did. And I can take a look at it, see that he did follow the directions, he underlined his vocabulary words. So now I'm going to add a private comment. I'm going to click on the Mote extension to go ahead and leave that comment or that feedback for the student. Hi Pranav, I loved your vocabulary sentences for lesson 14. Great job using your vocabulary words and underlining each word. You can press done, it will think, it will create your transcription, and then you can click post. When you click post, it may take some. So you can see there's a lot of spelling mistakes in here. It will definitely not pick up on some of our students' names, so you can just highlight and change it and update, and then you can see the new comment is there for you to leave a comment, private comment on your student's work. Using your Mote in Sheets is the same way. You can do it on different cells. This is an example of book club groups that I had. You can click on the cell, click on the comment, to insert a comment, click on your Mote. Hi, my friends. Here are your book club groups for Frindle. Please make sure that you read pages 1 through 10. Press done. You can comment. And then your Mote is transcribed in the document. You can go ahead and press play to make sure. Hi, my friends. Here are your book club groups for Frindle. Please make sure that you read pages 1 through 10. And you can go ahead and leave that. And you could see that as I click away, you may not see the comment, but it has a small orange triangle in the top right-hand corner. And when you hover over, you can see that the comment is there for the Mote. Just some ways that I've been using Mote in my classroom is I have a assignment tracker for students that may have any missing work. And I have up here every day, I update the assignment tracker with the date and the time. I highlighted that and I left a Mote here for students to just kind of have a reminder on how to track their missing assignments and what I am expecting from them. Another way that I've been using Mote, this is my favorite way to use Mote, is actually on this question and answer document that Danielle Adase created for our grade 3 teachers at our school, which is a daily place that our students can come to, type their question, and then I can answer their question for them. What I've been doing is instead of typing all of the instructions or the answer in the answer box, which may be a little bit confusing, is I would click on the first 2 words, which is hi and my student's name, and go ahead and leave the Mote comment on there. So what I think is really great about this is that the students are able to hear more directions on this page, but also see it transcribed on the side as well. And you can see that some of the students will actually respond back to you on that page after you are able to comment to the Mote. So I think that that's really wonderful that they're able to also comment back and forth. Some of my students have been asking to download the Mote extension, and they have, to be able to have a conversation with me through the document if they needed to. So what I also wanted to just point out again with the Help Center is that they have a really great range of articles here, and the FAQ is very helpful. You can also search for anything that you may need. I really find that the Mote extension is extremely helpful for ESL students. I teach the ESL section of 3rd grade in my school, and I know that students that may be struggling readers or ESL students who may have trouble with certain directions can really use this extension to help them. You can post directions or you can post any kind of clarifications for them to understand, especially during the remote learning time. I love how it's a huge time saver, and it makes it a little bit more personable for our students during this time. So thank you so much for coming to this session, and whenever you have the chance, if you could please just fill out the Mote training survey, I'd greatly appreciate it with your honest feedback. Okay, so.
Okay, excellent. So we'll give people a second or two to fill out some surveys. Vinny Romano should just about be coming on. So Monica, if you want to check and see if there's anyone in the waiting room.
Yeah, I just let him and Jill in, so they should be in.
Okay, so if you want to transfer over to Vinny, I know he's just getting on, so maybe give him a second or two.
Sure.
To piggyback on what Monica said, Mote is amazing. A huge time saver. It's really great. So definitely give that one a try. That's a cool extension to give a shot to try and use, especially with making comments. And for you English teachers that are grading and commenting on stuff, it's a really great way to use voice for feedback. Oh, Monica's kids send me Mote messages too. Okay. Are they able to? So is it enabled for the kids? Can they respond? They can respond back, correct? It should be enabled for them?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as they have the extension downloaded, it works both ways.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I've never used it yet, but one of our some of our kids were just putting the comments a Mote message to me, and works great.
Awesome.
All right, so if you want to switch over to Vinny, that'd be great. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, but that's fine. Vinny, whenever you're transferred over, you can get started.
Yeah, Vinny should be the host now.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vinny Romano. I'm a 6th grade math teacher at Islam Middle School. And I am pursuing this Google Trainer certification. So after brainstorming, I decided to do a little PD on advanced Google search techniques. There's a few reasons for this. I think there's some small little tricks that could help us as teachers and your students, and especially with the images, there's a way of teaching some digital citizenship, just to get them in the habit of copyright issues and these small, little techniques that you could implement could kind of relay that message to your students. So the first thing we're going to start with now, I am going to share, I will have it put on the Woodbridge Township PD website, but I have a cheat sheet for these techniques, so you don't have to take notes. So, just, I guess, follow along. If you want to try some of these techniques on your own, you're welcome to do so. All right, Joe, how do I know if it's sharing my screen at this point?
It is not showing your screen at the moment. I see you.
Yeah, we see your handsome face there, buddy. So we got to get you to share down at the bottom from share screen.
Okay.
You want a Chromebook or iPad?
Mac.
Okay. Yeah, you should see the share screen button at the bottom, and when you click on it, it should give you the option.
Let's say an open system preferences.
You might have to give it
the
options first.
Yeah, you just have to give it permission to show your screen. There we go.
All right. So the first technique we're going to focus on is searching for a particular file type. So a lot of times when you're looking for worksheets, you may, just Google the particular topic. So operations with integers. And then you will have to, kind of sort through some images and take you to links that you could open as a PDF or a Microsoft document, or you might search through your actual search results and try to find an actual worksheet that you could use. But if you search for the topic and then you put the keyword file type and the type of file that you want to search for, it will only give you results that are that file type. And you could see how this came up here. So we have PDF after PDF of that particular topic. All right, so I find the PDF use of this to be the most useful because we don't have to download. It's compatible with different types of devices. But if you were looking for a PowerPoint on a particular topic, you could put PPT for PowerPoint or DOC for Doc, and it will only give you results that match that file type. So I think this is pretty helpful if you're looking for a worksheet in the most efficient manner. And like I said, I think PDFs are the way to go with this, as opposed to just putting that topic in and then having to, search through all the different options that are given. So like I said, this could work for any file type. that you have in mind, but PDFs seem to be a safe bet for most of us. And like I said, it'll work for any particular topic that you have, regardless of the subject area. All right, so if I tried it for this one, and we open some up, we'll see that it gives us searches that match that topic. All right, so I think it's an efficient way of going about your search when you're looking for something. So I think this is pretty helpful. The next mini strategy or technique I want to utilize is searching by a particular date. So this is particularly helpful, I think, in the social studies and history areas, where you may want to receive articles that were written within a certain time frame about a particular topic. So the one I had in mind was something about 9/11. And if we were to search for just 9/11 at this point in time, it's going to give us historical perspective of the events. But if you want to see what was happening in the news and what was being reported at that time, you could go to Tools and then click the time range. And if you want something more recent, there's all these options here. But if you want something that occurred, say maybe back in 2001, you may want to put September 12th, 2001, maybe to December 31st, 2001. And it will give you articles that were posted during that time range. So it kind of takes us back in history. As we know, news develops over time, and sometimes it gives us an interesting perspective about what news was available at that point in time. This is not something that you would find if you were to search for it now, that box cutters were found on other September 11 flights. So I think this is particularly helpful for history and social studies. Another one that I had in mind was maybe the 2016 election in the days leading up to the election. So maybe we'll do, I had October 1st, 2016, up to the election date of November 8th, 2016. All right, so you could see what was happening. Actually, it's still 9/11, so let's change this to 2016 election. And if you scroll down, you could see the dates here. Predictions about who would win the election. If you wanted to add polls to this, it would give us the most recent polls that were being posted at that point in time. So I really think this has a lot of benefit, especially for the social studies and history people, because it's all date relevant. Any questions? You could unmute yourself and ask a question if you have one. All right. Next, I'm going to focus on images. So one aspect of images that I've encountered that's kind of a little bit of an obstacle is finding the right sized image for what I'd like to use it for. A lot of times they're too small. So a way that we could address that problem is if you were to search for a particular image. All right, and I got to clear this date here. And if you see something you like, either in this first search screen or under images, you could, and this will only work on Chrome, but you could double click or right click that image and click search Google for this particular image. And then click all sizes. and it will post all of the different sizes that image is available on the internet. And, you know, like I said, a lot of times, especially that first image that I clicked on, this is a very small image. So if you wanted to enlarge it, it's going to, it's not going to have the right resolution. So if you were to click all sizes, you would have a variety of different pictures to select from. So, you know, a lot of times you look in the images section and you find one that you like, and then you're kind of sorting through hundreds of other pictures for that same image that's in a different size. Well, like I said, just by double or right clicking on that image and clicking search Google for image and clicking all sizes, if you want the large version, which is probably relevant for most of us that are searching for images, we'll get images that fall into the large category. So I find this to be pretty useful, and it's something that you could share with students who are possibly, you know, doing PowerPoint slides or Google slides, and they want a certain image to look professional, look nice and crisp. So this is a quick way to work around that obstacle. I just have to grab my charger, 1 second. Okay, so staying on that same topic, we're going to focus on usage rights for images. So particularly images that have a lot of creativity built into them. I mean, a lot of times I find myself needing a picture of our mascot at Isle Middle School. So I'll be searching for a panther. And a lot of these are created by artists. So, you know, you want to be careful about taking any image that you see and utilizing it for a school publication or having the students use one. So a way to avoid that would be to change the usage rights. So under tools, so basically we start from our fresh home screen, and if we were to click images, under tools, we could choose the usage rights. And you could pick one that suits what you need it for. So if you want to take an image and completely, you know, modify it, you want it to fall under the labeled for reuse with modification. Unfortunately, some of these images are not posted with the license use, you know, selected properly. But if you want to play it safe and you want to be on the safe side, you know, you want to pick one, especially for our purposes as educators. You know, you could be a little bit more liberal about it as far as using ones that are for non-commercial use or just reuse if you're not going to modify it. But this just plays it safe. It also gives the students a sense of being aware of the copyright world and being careful about using images that you know, are not for reuse. And then if you wanted to take the next step, so you want the right usage rights and you wanted to find an image that is in a variety of sizes, then you could do something, you know, where you're right clicking it and you're searching Google for that particular image. And now you're finding the right image in a variety of sizes with the correct usage rights. So, you know, just like we talk about plagiarism and copyright issues in the language arts area, we also need to be aware of it as far as graphics and images go. So like I said, once again, tools, usage rights, and picking an appropriate usage for whatever it is that you need it for. And while we're at it, using this color option, I find is also a handy little tool to use, because we may be looking for a panther And since our school colors are green, you know, we may not want Carolina Panther colors that would often be a search result for this. So if you were to select the green color, I believe the usage rights are built into this. Oh, it's not, so. You know, you could find images that meet that description with the green color. All right, and a lot of times I do like to use the clip art because it's more appropriate for, you know, publications, but now you're only gonna get results that are in the green, as opposed to if you had any color, a lot of times the Carolina Panther colors are what's gonna show up. So, you know, all of these tools I think are pretty helpful for images and being, you know, responsible citizens. The last feature that I'm going to focus on has to do with the advanced search option. Google, I think, is so proficient at this point in time. If you wanted to search for something very particular, you know, if you wanted to search for Mickey Mantle in the 1956 World Series, you're gonna get relevant search results for that. So, like I said, over time, Google has gotten pretty good at finding exactly what you're looking for. But there is an option under Advanced Search. So, right on the toolbar, right below the search box, it says Settings and then Advanced Search. And this will really allow you to narrow down something in particular. You know, so you could look for an exact word or phrase, something that has any of these words, none of these words. So if you were looking for Mickey Mantle and you don't want it to include the 1956 World Series, you would type that in this box right here. If it's a mathematical data search, you could put the data that you're looking for. If you want a particular language, this basically brings together all the possible search results for Google and under one screen. So it's very particular. Once again, the usage rights, if you are looking for a particular usage rights, the file format, this has them all listed. So this kind of brings together all the possibilities under one page. And here you're going to get Mickey Mantle search results that do not include the 1956 World Series. So if you're trying to eliminate something and having a more defined search, this is a good way of doing that. All right, so I didn't want to go crazy with too much detail, but I think these 5 tools for defining and you know, highlighting exactly what you want to search for on Google could come into use, not only for you, but also for your students. So I just want to thank everybody for participating in this. I am going to post the short survey just to get some feedback on, you know, how your knowledge of this may have developed. And once again, thanks again.
Thank you very much, Vinny. Appreciate that.
Got it.
Keep throwing the surveys into the chat. So again, anyone that you've seen, make sure that you do that. Erica, who's going to be going next, her survey is not on our PDF sheet, but she'll be throwing her link to it in the chat. So Vinny, if you could transfer host duties over to Erica, that would be great.
Thank you. I put my bit.ly for my presentation and my survey in the chat. So, okay, still not host. First, I want to say thank you to Kyle and Joe, Jamie, Sam, because this is a lot. The last 3 days are a lot, and next week's going to be a lot. So we appreciate you guys here spending your time helping us.
No problem. You guys are doing awesome. I'm learning stuff, so I'm good.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, still not host.
All right, let me, I'll take it back from Vinny and then
Okay,
I'll get you in there. Sorry. You're by your actual name on the thing, right? There you are. Okay. More. Okay,
thank you.
host. Change host. Now you should be good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So I'm going to be talking today about my favorite thing in quarantine so far, which has been the rubrics on Google Classroom. And I never used them before this situation. And I want to share it with the world because it's a life changer, especially if you don't give quizzes on Google Forms. I know a lot of people are doing that. I do that sometimes, but most of my assignments are actually, you know, do a project, show me the project, or it's a Google form, but there's short responses, not multiple choice or true false. So I figured a way, instead of typing the same comments to every kid or copying pasting the comments about the student's work, I decided to make rubrics for pretty much every single assignment I've done. So I would like to show this to you and share my love of it. My bit.ly is right down here for the presentation and up here for my survey. Again, like Joe said, the survey link wasn't on the PDF, but that's okay. You could have it here. And I'm also on the, I think I'm going to be on the middle school or the elementary school tech website. So let's get started. Oh, again, if you just joined, Joe, am I going to see people coming in and out in the waiting room?
You should. You'll have to. Yeah, you'll just have to pop
It's
in.
going to like come up, right? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it should
It'll
turn
flash.
on, like orange, or if you just
Perfect.
click on participants, you should be able.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thank you. I just want to make sure.
And
All right.
yes, you will be on both the elementary and middle school PD.
Oh, thank you.
We'll have it on both.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So a little bit about me. I'm a PEG, and I'm a gifted and talented teacher. I teach enrichment and PEG, which is the program for the exceptionally gifted, where the kids could skip 6th grade and 12-year teaching. I got my level 1 and 2 certified certifications, and I'm going for my supervisor certificate, all while pregnant and due in August. So there's a lot going on right now, but I'm loving every minute of it. So how to create a Google Classroom rubric. Okay, I'm going to have the bit.ly for my presentation at the bottom. If you miss it anywhere, you could just type it in. Remember that cap lock is important and it's case sensitive, and that's an L before the Z, a lowercase L. Okay, so what I want to say is, if you would like to open up a new tab and open up an assignment, you can. That if you have a future assignment on Google Classroom just waiting to be scheduled, that's what I would recommend. If not, no big deal. I'm just going to explain one of my activities with my students, my enrichment students, and how I made a rubric for the activity. So basically, this activity was for the students to make paper helicopters. Okay, our unit's aerodynamics, and they had a bunch of questions. They had a template they had to print out, and if they didn't have a printer, they could use just paper and paper clips at home and make it that way using the measurements I gave them. So, and their answers were recorded in Google Forms as short responses and long responses. So I can't use a quiz feature for that because every kid's going to write something different. So what I needed to do is I decided to make a rubric for it. So this should look familiar if you are familiar with Google Classroom. It's the edit of your assignment. And there's this little gem of a button here that Joe, you could see on my screen, right?
I can see it, Erica. You're good.
Thanks, B. So there's a little gem of an icon here called Plus Rubric, and it's literally changed my life. And I was talking to a couple of my co-teachers, and they said, can you copy rubrics from one year to another or one class to another? And the answer is yes. So that's what's pretty exciting about this, is that if you used it last year, you could get it this year again. So if you click on the plus rubric, you will see 3 options. It'll say create one, reuse, or import from Sheets. I've never imported from Sheets, but and I haven't reused because, like I said, this is my first time using a rubric since, you know, this whole quarantine happened. So you click on create rubric, and this is what you see. This is, it looks, I hope you're not overwhelmed by it. It's really not too bad, because the only 2 things you need for your rubric is a criterion title and a point value, okay? So step 3, fill in a criterion title. If you want, you could do a criterion description. You have to fill in a point value and a level. Sorry, somebody tried to come in. Okay, and a level if you want to, and a description. So this is an example of what I did. So again, they had to make paper helicopters. They had to fly them from different heights. They had to make different sizes. They had to predict if putting a paper clip at the bottom was going to make it go faster, slower, yada, yada, yada. So they really need to think about aerodynamic theories to do this project. So I have my first criteria which I guess is the singular for criteria, was completion. Okay, this project is completed on time, no spelling or grammar errors, and answered incomplete sentences. Okay, a point value of 1 would be poor. It's late, there are spelling, grammar errors, and questions are not answered incomplete sentences. So again, you don't need to have the description, you don't need to have the level title. All you need is the criterion title and the points. Now, you're gonna have more than 1 point value, of course. So I had 4, okay? Make as many point values as you need. I'm a big fan of 4 points on a rubric. Some people do 5, some people do 3, even 2, you know, yes or no. They did it good or poor. So I added 4 point values, or I added 3 more point values. So I have 4 total. Excellent, good, fair, and poor. Now this is all for that 1 criterion, which was completion. Okay. You're gonna want, some people, hey, if that's all you want to grade your assignment on, that's all you grade your assignment on. But I wanted to add 2 more criteria. At the bottom of this, after you fill this in, you click underneath, it says add a criterion. So you would add another component of your project or your assignment. And I added complexity of work, and I added creativity. Okay, so for complexity of work, I have, again, the same excellent, good, fair, poor, but I talked about the students demonstrates understanding of aerodynamics and expresses it in the answers. So, you know, 4 would be that they're detailed. A 3 would be that they're accurate, but not complex or detailed. You know, fair would be that they're detailed, but some are inaccurate. And then poor would just be that the students, you know, they're not accurate, they're not detailed or complex. On the right, very small, I don't know why they do that, but they have, you know, what it would be out of 4 points. And obviously if you have 5 point values, you would have out of 5, etc. So for my project for the helicopter, my point value is 12 points. Okay, so Google is assuming 12 points. Each one comes out to what, about 8.5%. And this is where it gets fun. So once you save it, you have to click save, okay? Otherwise your rubric will be gone. But there's a save button on the top right. Now we're gonna show you how you can actually use the Google Classroom rubric. So we're gonna go to my, you know, the assignment page. This would be under student work. I blurred out the names for privacy. So this is an actual project that is due Friday, tomorrow night, for my students. 30 out of 85 as of last night completed it. So I start to grade ahead of time. So this should all look familiar. Now, when I click on one of the kids down here, when I click over here, this is what comes up, okay? So the student's name's up here. I click on what I think the completion. So the student did complete it on time, there's no spelling and grammar errors, and they use complete sentences restating the question. So they got a 4. Complexity, they did not really discuss the aerodynamic theories, so they get a 3. Creativity is a 3. Now Google automatically does all of this over here. They automatically give them 4 out of 4, 3 out of 4, 3 out of 4. They add them up for you. You don't have to do anything. It's clicking the buttons. Click, click, click. The kid gets an 83. Okay. You click return and you're done. Now you might be thinking to yourself, oh, I forgot what this was. I forgot what a 4 would be. I forgot what a 3 would be, 2 would be, 1 would be. So I made a video that thoroughly explains what happens when you get to that. So this is a child that I reviewed the work, and now I'm going to the rubric. And if you click on that, those arrows right here, it'll extend to show you what the excellent, good, fair, and poor categories, were comprised of. And you could just do it like that too if you need to. Now I highly recommend doing this for, like I said, Google Forms when there's short responses or paragraphs. Okay, I highly recommend if you have a Google Doc where you had students fill in different things. I would highly suggest using it there. Where else do I suggest? Google Slides would be amazing to do it, because there is no way to grade a Google slide unless you leave comments pretty much, or just give them a grade as it is. So this is a game changer. It is I believe it's a fairly new feature of Google Classroom, maybe 1 or 2 years old, but it's a wonderful thing to do. Let's see what time. Okay, super early ending. But if you could take my survey, it's down here. If you're on my presentation, it's hyperlinked. If you have any questions about rubrics, you could email me at the bottom, and I'm on Twitter, AzarGNT. And if anyone has any questions, they could unmute and ask now. I can demonstrate some grading for you if you'd like. It just has my students' names, but.
So Erica, when you post the assignment and the rubric is already attached, and let's say you copy it to another class, does it automatically copy the rubric?
If you copy the assignment?
Yes.
Have not tried that. I could try that right now though.
Yeah, then I'd be curious, because if I do this for one class and I have the same class later in the day, separate blocks, what does it look
right.
like? I was actually curious myself because I've never done that. So
yeah, I'm gonna try that. Let's do some experimenting. So let's say I want it to come to this class. I'm gonna go to assignment classwork. I'm gonna go to create, reuse. Would it be reuse post, I guess?
Yeah, it'd be reuse post. So
yeah.
So pull in whenever one has a rubric, and then see if the rubric is attached to it.
It's only letting me reuse posts for the same class though.
But go back to where it says reuse.
Okay.
And then there's a little arrow.
Yeah, there's a little arrow. You could switch it. So go to create, go to reuse post. And then
right here.
Yeah,
yes,
get back, and then you choose which class you want.
Perfect. Let's try that. So then I know that was this assignment. So I'm going to reuse, I'm going to put it in my other class.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if the rubrics also.
Yeah, it's right there.
Cool.
So if I open it, it's the same thing I just showed you guys about completion, complexity, and creativity.
Awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing would be to find out is if the rubric gets stored somewhere else. So if I want to use the exact.
Yeah, that's the thing. When it says, when you add a rubric, it says import from sheets. I guess this is a sheet that's just fancy. I mean, I haven't really, export to sheets. Here you go.
So I guess now, so I guess what you would do now is when you created the rubric next semester,
you
could pull it in from that sheet. Okay, it's good to know.
Oh wait, this is actually really cool. Let's try this now. So I exported it to sheets. This is getting a little complex, guys. Sorry.
No,
but now I'm gonna go to my a future assignment, right? So like one I did not post yet, but I don't have I do have a rubric for it, of course. Let's go to my last assignment of the year. and go to edit assignment and pretend that I want to reuse that rubric. So I would go to
Import
import.
from sheets. Yeah, it should be right in your recent.
It should be my recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it right here.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
That's
So it is. It's basically a fancy sheet that's just in a nice format.
That is ridiculously easy. So basically, you do it once, and then you can name them and pull them in. You know, so if you
Yeah.
had repository writing, if you had Google Slides project, that's great.
Thanks, Joe. You helped me out.
No,
You taught me something.
Because I've been playing around with it too, but I haven't like tried those things, and I was wondering if you did. So
Yeah.
as we'll work on
No, it seemed like it
That's great.
worked. Awesome.
Yep. So, Erica, if you just want to throw your Bitly survey link in the bottom again, because again, yours wasn't on that PDF. So we want to make sure before you leave today, at least for Erica, please fill out her, for everyone, of course, but for Erica, since she's not on that sheet that we gave you, if you haven't filled out a survey for everybody, please make sure you do that before you leave. They need to be able to reflect upon their training and talk about how they might improve it based on the feedback that you give them. So please be honest and take a few moments to fill it in. We'd appreciate that as you decide to log yourself off. We do appreciate you guys coming today.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to doing showcases like this in the future.